7.
Turning to a delicate subject to talk about, organ donation. Difficult for a lot of people to think about, but for those who are waiting for a transplant, it's very, very important, a matter of life and death in many cases.
Last year, almost 1 million people in the UK joined the organ donor register, but the number of people needing the surgery is increasing at a greater rate.
Well, let's take a look at what a transplant meant for Andy Williamson, who was seriously ill with kidney failure. He had a friend called Matt Potts, who became a living donor when he gave Andy one of his own kidneys.
Cup of tea, please. Cup of tea, I'll have a macchiato, please.
Sounds a big deal, but it really isn't. It's just a case of seeing a mate of yours on dialysis, and everyone is very familiar with this phrase dialysis, but when you see someone on it, it's really bad. And it was like watching a mate basically slowly die, and it just kind of panicked a bit and just seemed to make sense. And so I signed up, and you get a load of tests, and then they give you a load of drugs. You don't feel a thing. You give away your kidney, and I was back at work a month later. That was it. No big deal.
Having a transplant is just utterly transforming. I mean, I literally feel 20 years younger. I'm nearly 42 years old. When I had the transplant, I was 40, and the day after the transplant, I felt like I did when I was in my 20s.
Amazing story for Andy, and good for Math. For many others waiting for an organ, it can be a very long and a very painful process.
Victoria Tremlett's with us. She has cystic fibrosis and is waiting for a double lung transplant. She's here with the National Clinical Director for Transplantation at the Department of Health, Chris Rudge. Good morning to you both. Well, Victoria, we're particularly pleased to see you because you shouldn't really be here if the doctor's predictions have been correct. Well, what did they say?
Well, when you're assessed for transplant, they have to go through everything that can happen, and they have to let you know all the facts. And they told me that I wasn't expected to live for 2 years if I didn't get a transplant, and I've been waiting for 2 years and about 3 months now, so defying the odds at the moment.
Good for you. And you've been on the transplant list, you said, for 2.5 years?
Yeah.
Chris, why is it taking so long for people like Victoria to get a transplant?
Well, it's just awful, isn't it?
Yes.
It's taking a long time because we are behind the rest of the country, the rest of the world in the UK. We don't have a good donor rate. There are a number of reasons for that. Some of it's to do with the need for more donor transplant coordinators, more people working in intensive care to be committed to this. Some of it is to do with other parts of the infrastructure, and a large part of it is to do with the public. The public support organ donation, but still more people than we would wish say no to actual organ donation when they're asked about donation from a member of their family.
The number of donors has gone up, at least, hasn't it? What, about 7%?
The number of people registered on the organ donor register saying they would like to donate their organs is going up. The number of actual people that are donating their organs is going up. The number of transplants is going up. So real progress is being made. But as we know, we need to do more.
Victoria, how does having cystic fibrosis, and especially over the last couple of years, how does it affect your life and day-to-day living?
I mean, it's every second of every day is affected. I mean, waiting for transplant now, I need help with every single thing I do. Getting dressed in the morning, washing my hair, brushing my hair. It's all things that a 22-year-old should be able to do without even thinking. And it just leaves me so breathless. I rely on my mum, and I've got no independence at all. I use oxygen all the time. I use a wheelchair when I go out. It's just really, really difficult, and on a day-to-day basis, I don't know how I'm going to be from one day to the next.
Chris, there's no sort of hierarchy in the waiting list system, is there? It's not like, it's not as if Victoria is sort of number 9 on the list or something like that. How does it work?
There are a variety of things that have to be taken into account. There's some medical things, people's blood group, one or two things like that. Some other more obvious things, such as the size of the lungs that Victoria needs. It would be hopeless to give her lungs that were too small. If they were too big, they wouldn't fit. So there are a range of things, and there's a degree of science, but there's also a degree of judgment in saying somebody's donated lungs, these are most appropriate to be transplanted into this patient or that patient.
I wonder what else we can do, Victoria. I recently applied for a driving licence, and there you can say that you want to go on the register as you apply for it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, anything you've thought about that could encourage more people?
Well, I think that everyone talking about it and bringing it up in the news and things. I work for a charity, Live Life Then Give Life, who work to try and raise awareness of organ donation. We've actually got a gig coming up soon, Save Jess, which is a girl similar to me who's been waiting for 4 years for a transplant, and her time is literally running out. She's very, very bad now. And we, as I say, doing a gig on the 16th of October to try and raise awareness with Natalie and Brulia headlining.
Do you think that we should, presumed consent is the big topic of debate.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what we should have?
I think it would solve some problems, but it would cause others, because obviously you still need to get talking about this subject and letting your loved ones know what your wishes are, because if presumed consent came in, you would still have the relatives' consent before organs would be given.
They would still have to give their permission before it could go ahead.
So it's very important that if you would like to donate your organs, that you let your family know what your wishes are, and it can be very comforting to them when they are asked about organ donation after your death, that they know what your wishes are and they know that you were happy to do it.
Okay, we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
We do.
Thank you.
Let us know what happens.
Will do. Thank you.
This would be really interested.
Chris, thank you.
Victoria, Chris, thank you.
It's just coming up to a quarter.